Now, when you're doing New Year's Eve weddings, they're definitely a different animal. You got to realize this. They're not the same as regular weddings at all. It's not just a regular wedding plus a ball drop. You know what I mean? It's just like, don't look at it as like, all right, it's just a wedding and then you just got one more formality. You got to do the whole countdown and that's it. Because the dynamic of it is way, way different. My buddy, Jeff Scott Gold, who works for SCE, and everything, he said it best. And his analogy, what he said was, and what he tells us couples, and I 1,000% agree with this, is that when it comes to New Year's Eve weddings, right, it's your wedding until 11:30 p.m. Okay, if you're going to have a wedding on New Year's Eve, it's your wedding until 11:30 p.m. After that, it turns into a New Year's party. And those are wise words from JSG. Shout out to him, Jeff Scott Gold, if you don't follow him. It's very true. After 11:30, okay, especially when you start making those announcements, 30 minutes till 2022, whoa, like whatever, you know what I mean? That's when it turns into like a New Year's Eve party, okay? A New Year's, like bringing in the new year, for most people, there's always someone that's like doesn't give a shit, but like for most people, it's a big deal. For most people, it's a fresh start. For most people, they look at it as a big, probably like one of the biggest of the year, if not the biggest thing to happen of the entire year, right? You're going into a new year. So people kind of switch. Like when you're at a party, even if you're at a wedding, you're celebrating love, all that, you've been dancing. Once it gets closer to the ball dropping and you're hearing those announcements and you're getting pumped up, it turns into a New Year's party. So with that in mind, there's a couple things that I'm actually going to change in the future that I want to do. Not saying that hear me out. Ready? Number one, the main thing I would say when it comes to New Year's weddings, first of all, I fucking skipped ahead. Anyway, the one tip I wanted to give you is Google a live clock. Santi did this. He was super clutch. He had an atomic clock with Google. It had down to the seconds. That way you can get the drop right. Okay, so if you Google a clock, like right there, you know what I mean? You can like Google any live clock. They're super accurate. I think they're called atomic clocks or something like that. That way you can get the ball drop right. But back to the point with with JSG and how it turns into a New Year's party, I think the best way to do New Year's weddings is to essentially bring all your shit. Bring everything. What I want to do in the future is when I book New Year's Eve weddings from now on, I'm going to have a very high minimum. Very high. But that minimum is going to come with everything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think New Year's Eve weddings need every single enhancement possible. I really do. I think like people expect a lot. I think it just makes for a better party. I think New Year's Eve celebrations, are meant to be epic. And I'm not saying they can't be epic, with like limited stuff. They can, but like you want to stack all the cards in your favor at all times. I always preach that, stack the cards in your favor. The more options, the better. If you got CO2 shit, bring the CO2 shit. If you got sparks, bring the sparks. If you got a confetti anything, bring that. Like, lighting, everything. I think New Year's Eve celebrations need as much shit as possible. The more, the better when it comes to this stuff. So what I'm doing, I mean, you do what you like. I'm not telling you what to do, but like I'm going to have a very high minimum and I'm going to say, listen, this is my minimum. I'm thinking maybe like 7,500, 8,500, 10,000, something like that. Like something like high, right? And I'm just going to say, listen, this is the minimum. This is, and then I'm going to look at it this way. Like part of it is going to be my initial cost or whatever that like is just like for me to DJ. The rest all goes to options. And then like I'll let them pick options. I'll give them recommendations. But like you have to have a minimum of this much money worth of enhancements. And I think that's the best way to go. You're going to, because you're going to have as much tools to your disposal to make it the best party possible. And I think that that one day a year is worth it. You need enhancements. I don't push enhancements on anybody. Honestly, I'm not a big upseller. I should do more, but I'm kind of like, whatever you like, whatever you want, it's up to you. You want lights. Some of my couples want everything. Some of my couples want nothing. And I just keep it pushing either way. But that's how I'm going to do it. Now, that's because we have an a la carte menu. If you already have packages, if you already kind of bundle everything together, then it's going to be a little different for you. Then you just say, hey, listen, this package You know what I mean? Like, this is the only package that's available for New Year's. However you want to do it, just always bring all your shit for New Year's Eve weddings. Big, big key, okay? And then the final tip, because I already gave you the atomic clock tip. I actually put the scenes in the wrong order, so whatever. My bad. It's like the first time I've actually done this, I think, on the show, where I did it like out of order. It kind of pissed me off. I was like, damn, I'm so stupid. The third tip with New Year's Eve weddings, it's going to come as a shocker to you. I rarely say this, but when it comes to the Auld Lang Syne song you play after the ball drops, or whatever you play after the ball drop, do not quick mix that. Do not quick mix that. And I always say, when it comes to quick mixing is all about knowing what to quick mix and what not to quick mix too. You know what I mean? If you're quick mixing, like I just saw someone post something on Facebook the other day, and he was like, these quick mixing DJs, these DJs, they mix a song for 40 seconds, and then, then I'm watching these people walk off the dance floor. Oh, it's just disgraceful. And it's like, well, he's doing it wrong. That's why. I mean, if you're quick mixing and people are leaving, you're doing it wrong. You just got to get a little better at it. That's all. Like, you're not doing it right. Doing successfully quick mixing is about knowing which songs to play, knowing exactly how long to play each song, whether it's the whole song or only 10 seconds, right? And everything in between. That's the art of quick mixing. How long to play each song. It doesn't mean you're playing every song quick as shit. It doesn't mean you're playing everything. Like, you know what I mean? It all varies, but generally speaking, you play anyway. I'll get in a whole rant over that because that shit drives me nuts. But the one thing you don't want to quick mix is the Auld Lang Syne or whatever you play afterwards, because people text their loved ones. They FaceTime their loved ones, Some people, they make their Facebook posts right away, Instagram posts. They're on their stories, they're on their Snapchats, whatever. People always have their own little routines, okay? I mean, I know even if I'm working, right? Like even this past year, right? If I'm working and I announce the ball drop, blah, 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 and we're playing it, I text my girl Happy New Year right away, Like, of course, Happy New Year, babe, I love you, can't wait to see you when you get home, something like that, If I don't, I'm a dick, I'm sure you text your wives, everything, like, a lot of people do that. So you want to give it time. You want to let it simmer, rest. I played the whole thing all the way through. I think the Auld Lang Syne, even the original, is only like 2 minutes and 20 seconds, something like that. Not a long song. Seems long because you want to and I made this mistake many times in the past. The ball drops and it's like this big epic blah, and then you play it, and then you're dying to get the party started. You're dying to drop a banger. Like, let's go, let's celebrate 2022. And you can kind of, get a little too excited, move a little too fast or whatever. Just give it the whole song, and then turn up. The people aren't going anywhere. All you're doing is giving the people time to make their phone calls, make their texts, make their whatever, post on their stories, and then you celebrate and rage after that. So that's the biggest advice I can give you too for when it comes to New Year's and whatnot.